I had 1,700 undergrads this time. Half those kids had never been told no their whole life. They think when we give them a command, it's negotiable. They think we should give them good grades just because they show up. They feel like they're entitled. You know where they get that from? Because we think, well, we don't want them to suffer like we did. Really? Really? Suffer, huh? Look, come on, how many of y'all remember when color TVs came in? And those people looked green. You remember that? A little screen about that big and it was blurry and everything like that. We just think, oh, that was suffering, right? No. We only had 3 channels and one of them was PBS, and who watched that? You know what I mean? Come on. We didn't suffer, did we?
That's right.
What we had was family time sitting around.
That's right.
It wasn't everybody had a computer sitting there and writing, little notes to each other on the computer. It was actually turning to each other and talking to each other. By the way, parents, let me say this to you. If you let your children use their computer and you don't check it out, you're nuts. You're crazy. Every time I say that, I have parents come up to me after the service and jump all over me. I'll tell you, in our home, here's what happened. My wife, when she would clean up the girls' rooms, anything was fair game. She got on our computer every week. We had it right in the middle of where everybody could see it, and if we passed by and the girls covered it up, it got shut down. Because whatever they were looking at, my wife checked out every week. I mean, think about this. You know what? My daughter's 22 years old. Right now, if you want to date my oldest daughter, you know what happens? If she thinks that they're going to get a little serious, she has 2 dates. Her third date with that guy is with me. And we sit down and I say to him, son, this is the way I expect you to treat my daughter. You think that's nuts? No. She'll stand up right now and tell you she loves that because she knows she's protected by that. See, we're afraid to parent because we've been told in this culture that everybody has these kind of rights like that, and we're scared to death. Listen to me. Church, we have lost the family. Satan has stolen the family from us. That's what's destroying the church. We fix the family, we'll fix what's wrong with the church, and we'll fix what's wrong with our culture. But it's going to take us standing up and doing what is right because the Bible says it's right. Guys, you have the imperative, initiation, the instruction, and finally, when everything's said and done, all you have are the impressions of the home and the family. Look at what it says. It says, raise up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, what? They will not depart from. Why will they not depart? Because of the impressions that are made upon their lives. That's why. Think about this. What kind of impressions are you making on your children's lives? What kind of impressions? Any of y'all familiar with what the blessing is all about? Gary Smalley wrote a good book several years ago called The Blessing. It's what happens when parents pass to the next generation for their children. Having raised daughters and being around guys all my life, raising daughters was a challenge because obviously we have nothing in common. I still don't understand them. Don't have a clue about them. Same thing with my wife. 27 years, don't have a clue. And every guy here, if he doesn't agree with that, he's lying. Okay, but it's true. We don't understand you guys. But here's one thing I do know. I understand this. I understand that the most impressionable relationship that my daughters will ever have is whether they receive the blessing from me. I'm telling you. I've stood with young ladies in their 30s, 40s, 50s, weeping at altars because their fathers, they brought home the bacon, they helped them, they did all this, but they never once simply said to them, I love you and I'm proud of you. You see, ladies, you not only want to see that we love you, you want to hear it. Is that not right? Come on. Yeah. Some of us, guys, we give more attention to our trucks and tree stands than we do our families. Let me tell you this. The last conversation I had with my father, the morning he died that night, the last thing my dad said to me was, son, I love you. He didn't say that because he was less of a man. He said that because he was more of a man. I'm going to tell you what happened. I've seen this over and over and over again. If you don't give that blessing to that daughter of yours, she'll look for it in another man. Almost every time as a pastor I've seen teen pregnancy, there's either a father who's non-existent or he's there and he just don't have a clue how to connect. Some of you today need to turn to your children, your spouse. It's been a long time since you've told them, I just love you. I'm proud of you. Your sons, they want to hear that. It meant the world to me for Pete to walk down this morning and put his arm around me and tell me how much I meant to him. What kind of impressions are we leaving on our children? Are they going to stand over our grave and look at us and go, you know, they sure were busy a lot? Are they going to have to search for memories, impressions? A few years ago, I had a lady come up to me and she said, would you please share this every chance you get with parents? Her husband was one of those kind of guys that always felt like that he had to have a lot of money and stuff to impress people and to somehow, you know, for his kids to really like him. And so he's always looking for this get-rich-quick scheme, and finally when his kids were in their late teens, he got saved. She told me, his wife told me that when their only daughter left home, said that the day came when she was leaving home, she was getting married the next week, they were moving into an apartment. So they helped her move all day long, come to the last load, sun was going down. Said the wife told me, she said, I turned around and looked for him and he wasn't anywhere to be found. She said, I stalled knowing he'd want to say bye to his daughter and nobody's, said he didn't show up. She said she stood there and waited. Her daughter, she drove off, never to come home the same again. Some of you have been through that. She said she walked back in the house and she went in the kitchen, she went in the living room, she went down this big old house that he had. There wasn't a light on anywhere except in the back room. It was the daughter's room. The only light was in a walk-in closet in the back of the room. She said she walked across the carpet, all those impressions on the carpet, all those memories came back of all the days she spent with her daughter there. You can imagine the emotions. And she said as she got close to the closet, she heard a whimpering sound. She peeked around the corner. There was her husband. He'd gone back in the house to make sure everything was gone. And evidently he found a stuffed animal. I don't know if he'd given it to her or if it just reminded him of his daughter, but she said over the corner of the closet, he was bent over like this, was hugging that stuffed animal, weeping with everything he had. She said she walked over to him, sat down beside him, put her arm around him, held on to him for about 10 minutes until he finally calmed down enough he could talk. And she looked at him, she said, honey, would you please tell me what's wrong? This is what he said. Listen to me. He said, my baby's gone, and I don't even know her. My baby's gone, and I don't even know her. What about you today? Are you going to start off the new year same way you ended the last one? Or is this family stuff at Christmas just a bunch of stuff we talk about, but we really don't mean it? You see, my greatest gifts are sitting right back there. I have a mother who's still alive, who loves me and puts up with me. I have a wife who does the same. I have two beautiful girls. If we're going to make a difference in this culture, it starts with our homes and our families. Raising up a child in the way they should go. So when they're old, they will not depart from the faith that's been poured in their life. What about you? Would you stand up with me right now and just bow your heads, please?